Dun, 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 dun.
It's good to see you well, Randall.
Yeah, I'm vertical. Vertical is a lot better than horizontal, I tell you. Despite the times that I enjoy being horizontal, I think I had plenty of that in the last week or two, and I think I'm very happy.
That can be taken a completely different way if you're not careful.
Deliberately subtext intended. I'm not that far off of being my normal comedian self. Come on. That's absolutely expected and intended.
Intended behavior won't fix. So,
bad hair day too, so I'm trying to get that fixed. And I only knew about this 15 minutes ago, so I'm like, scram, take it on.
Yeah, I was. I think one of our viewers, Jonas, I saw a message from him this morning. He was like, "Are you going to do the live stream today?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I said I was going to make that link." I was so again, I get busy after the show, and I completely forgot to schedule the show. So I thought, "Oh, I better do that before at least a few hours before I want to stream." So
yeah.
I'm glad we have how many people? Like 25 people watching at least right now. It's wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Good timing.
We've got we were talking about what was it, Wednesday? Did you watch Wednesday's show, Randall?
No, I was horizontal.
Well, during your horizontal orientation, we were discussing various things, and state restoration came up as one of those things where you leave your app, and then how do you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So
I think we've had that actually as questions for the last few weeks off and on, so that's cool.
So we're thinking that maybe it's a good idea to try that out, and we could also add that to the WoW shopping app.
Okay,
that's something that could work with. Sorry, I'm going to adjust the mic. So yeah, let's see. I think where we go with that. I'm happy to take people's suggestions or questions, and we can try some stuff out. So I guess we'll just see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, I may have to step off camera a few times while I'm still getting set up because this is my morning still, so I got to get everything going on.
I think we'll plan to have, depending on how long we go for, may have to have a break, and that way people can get refreshed and come back.
Sure.
So I'm just setting up all the various bits and pieces here.
I'm just saying, if I disappear, it'll probably be momentarily. So it's just like
no
I'm still listening. Oh, I don't have my earbuds in. That's another thing I should probably do.
I don't have mine in. How's the audio? Is it echoing? Does anyone
Your
got any
audio is fine. My audio is my audio not echoing? If that's okay, I don't.
problem?
Yeah, so I guess
It's fine. So
good
you
enough for
know,
now then. But
I think we'll.
I'll have them in the handy. They're right here, just in case I need to put them in.
All right, let's see how it goes. Right, where am I?
Let's make sure I'm
Okay, let's see if we can get this shared and start going because you know there's no time like the present, as they say.
Oh, I've even got the wrong microphone selected. I don't have my fancy Blue Yeti selected. Boy, I tell you, nothing's working this morning.
You sound fine, so something's working.
Yeah, give me a second here. There, this is the Yeti. This is the Yeti. It should be even better.
Yeah, testing. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Right, cool. If I do get echo, I will put my earbuds in, but it's kind of nice not to have them in for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Right, let's share screen and get going. Oh, hang a minute. We have another person join us, Sumith. We have no microphone, no camera, Sumith. There he is. Yay! In the past,
just do that. I'm gonna say somebody says just wow. Like I heard like you guys talking about wow shopping, and I was like, what's cooking? So yeah. Was there a plan to work on it again?
Yeah, there's some background sound there, by the way. But yes, so the as I said, state restoration. Let's just jump straight in, right? And then I'll describe it as we go, and then feel free to ask questions. So for those that don't know, see if we can get this set up right. That's better, right? So for those that don't know, me and Sumith and Renuka, we were doing a Flutter dev camp, GDG London and Flutter London together for a group of people that signed up, and that's been happening for the last couple of years. And during that time, we decided to purchase a pre-made design, and use that as our example for doing state management. So this is the one that we came up with. It's just called Shop Wow. It's like some, I don't know, it's like a fake shopping app, right? We just figured that there's lots of things to this, and you can see this, implement this and see how it works with state management. It'd be a good teaching aid. So I've been taking it upon myself to just add bits to this app and make it a fully functional app as I go. As people ask me new questions, I just dump it in here and use this as the example. So not too long ago, I peeled off. We didn't have a backend for this; it was all like mocked. And instead, what I did was I made a little backend server that we can run. So this is like a little API server that you can run written in Dart on your backend. You can deploy it on any cloud provider. It uses what's called a Docker file. You can learn a bit more about that, and it's in the README. Talks about how you deploy it and a few other things. So if I start up a development server, the run configuration simply just runs the main developer entry point, and this will start listing on the default port of 8080. I shall change the size of things. I just realized I normally update my sizes. Apologies. This is going to be interesting. Hang on. Let's make things quite a bit bigger. And editor. What, 26, I think? Something like that. Let's see how this looks. Is that big enough for everyone? Let me know if you can't see it, and we'll update again. But yeah, as you see here in the log, it's listing on port 8080. And then if we start the app up, the development version of the app, what I've done, if you want to, the repo, for those that don't have the repo, let me get you a link. Bear with me one moment while I find the things I'm looking for. Oh.
We do have a request from the chat that the font be just a little bigger.
Well, hopefully, is this big enough? Let me know. If it's not, I'll make it bigger. Right, let me just get the link to the repo so you can all check it out if you want to and do stuff with it. Don't forget to star it and all that jazz. I don't know. It's always good. Right. You want to increase the font? Is that more than this? Looks like it. All right, let's go a bit higher. By the way, if it is blurry, you might want to just check, maybe refresh the page on YouTube and check to make sure you're streaming at like the highest resolution. Let's go up to what, 30? I think it works. This one, hopefully that's a bit more legible to people. All right, so yes, I posted the WoW shopping link in the chat. Bring that up on stream. There you go. So this repo is what you see here. 1 second. There you go. Yeah, so we did the last piece of work on the 10th of April, which was fix random bugs or whatever it was that we found during that. I don't even remember what that was all about now. It was a while ago. So yeah, so if you want to run this yourself, just the run configurations are committed, but you basically need to start up the server in development mode, right? So you just start in main bin dev with dart run. And then if you start up the development server, you need to get working locally. What you need to do is you open up the app folder, the app project, and alter the IP address that's in here to be your local Wi-Fi IP address for your machine. This is so that if you've got, like myself here, you've got a separate device that you're running the app on, it connects over your Wi-Fi to your machine where the server's running. Yeah, so this obviously won't work for you because it's my internal address, and that will change. So, all right, so if I run the app up, that's going to connect to, hopefully, to the same thing. Actually, I'm going to stop that server and run it in debug. There we go. All right, so we've got the debug server running, and the build task is running here. I don't know why the terminals are not changing size with the editor. Weird. Anyway, okay, so it's running. I hit login, and there we go. And as you can see, oh look, we've got some errors. API exception, missing authentication. How dare I? All right, well, it's working though. So that's interesting. We could look at that. I'm not going to bother too much right now, but yeah, it looks like the requests are working and coming through, so that's the main thing. All right. So we have a clear app, and we were talking about, oh yeah, and the designs. Let me share a link to the designs for those that are interested. Yeah, we should move you're right, Smith. We should move it to an environment file, right? We could actually do that if people are interested in how you actually make them more portable. All right, so I think like when it comes to the app, there's obvious things in here, which is we could save the tab that you're on, right? This is basically your selection. That's a nice way of restoring state. I'm wondering how we can test this as well, because it's not that easy to test. Let's see if I can get the docs up so we're in the same. I don't know if there's actually I might see if there's official Flutter docs for this. Oh, there probably is. State restoration. I did a talk on it, so I should know how it worked. Restore state on Android. That sounds like what I want.
With your luck, you'll Google it and it'll come up as your top.
I've done that before. Like, I'm like, how do I do this? And then my Stack Overflow answer comes up. I'm like, oh, of course it is.
I had that happen with my 255 magazine articles about Perl. 10 years later, I was trying to go, I know there's a way to do this. And I Googled, and of course, my article was the best SEO about how to solve this. It was like, oh, yeah, that's how I did that.
So if I remember rightly, this was just a case you just define your properties and they register. Oh, look, Garota has some stuff. State persistence package. Oh, that's my package. Sorry, this is funny.
You
We're just talking about it, and the link at the bottom of the page links to my own package. I'm like, I know that state persistence.
You not only solved this, you contributed the solution to the community already.
Right. Let's have a look here. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just normal state stuff. All right. So, let's see. Testing state restoration. That's what I was looking for on the restoration manager. Okay. That's the one. Don't keep activities. That's the one I was looking for. Okay. I knew this. Don't know why I didn't remember that, but okay. How you test on iOS, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Okay. So, interesting enough, it doesn't really give you much of a... Let's go through the top here. In the background, relaunches Flutter Solution, Restoration Manager, Relate Classes, and Services Library. Define a restoration ID or restoration scope ID for all widgets that support it, such as text field, scroll view ID. This automatically enables the built-in state restoration. All right, so you don't literally just do that. For custom widgets, you decide what state you want to restore by using a restorable state property or using the restorable state mixin on state. So that's what we'll do. So, okay, so let's try this out. So first of all, the idea of don't keep activities, when activity goes away and then you open it back up again, it's going to reload it. So what we do is if we go into the settings on your device and then go to the developer options, which are somewhere. Do you know how to, for those that don't know how to enable developer options, if you want to debug, you should anyway. But if you don't know, you go into the about section of your phone, find build number. It's normally at the bottom. And keep tapping it, and you'll see here it says you're already a developer. When I tap on it, you tap it, I think 7 times, and it then says you're a developer. It's like a secret code, secret handshake. Anyway, once you've done that, you'll get developer options enabled, and that's where you can do like all sorts of fun things like this one here, stay awake, which is very helpful for when you're debugging. There's also like demo UI. So if you ever wondered how you do screenshots, check this out. See the top status bar. I don't think, can you see that in there? Hopefully you can see that. I'll make it bigger. The top status bar says 1300. 1300 is the version of Android. This is telling me I'm on version 13 of Android. And then the LTE and the full signal is test stuff. So if I go into system UI and turn that off, it goes back to the default, back to the test. So if you ever want to take screenshots for the Play Store, turn this on and it will look perfect. And you won't have any sort of weird notification icons or anything else, right? All right. Anyway, I wasn't here to describe all this, but the one we want is, from right, is right down the very bottom. And it's somewhere. Oh, it was at the bottom. They've added more since then. Yeah, don't keep activities. Now, what's going to happen is as soon as I come out of settings and go back into settings, it resets. You see the logo? That means it's shutting the app down. And then what's happening here is when I start it back up, the settings app is restoring the state back to the developer options menu. So as you can see here, when we go back to the shopping app, it's reset. I've been logged out. This is nuts, right? And this is what would happen. You don't want this behavior every time someone goes into your app. They have to log in. But when they leave your app and come back to it, it just resets, right? That's the thing we're trying to sort out. We're trying to sort out state restoration. Okay. So first things first, log in. That shouldn't be doing that. I'm sure we talked about this before. This is a separate bug. And I think that's why we're getting these error messages around authentication not being correct. This looks like it's actually crashing somewhere in the shelf router by the looks of it. So I think what I'm going to do, we're running this in development mode. Let's get better error messages, shall we, on the server first of all. So I set up a middleware for error handling somewhere, exception middleware, and it prints out the stack trace if it does not equal test deployment. Well, you know what? I wonder if okay. If it does not equal to, then we're going to get print. There it is. Oh, yes, it's just the auth middleware saying it's failed. So the question then is, what are the requests that we're making that are failing? All right, so let's log in again. Okay. Okay, I think I know what's going wrong. We're failing to restore the token. Yeah, okay. So what's happening right now is the server, when you log in, let's go find it. We have like a fake login, right? But when you go log in, it returns back an access token and user ID and user. And then the idea being that we would then store that, and then we can reuse it when making requests. And I bet we're not doing that. So let's go fix that. And that way, when the app starts up, it will start up pre-logged in, which is the key. Feel free to ask questions, by the way, guys, if you're curious about anything or whatever. I don't know. Right. So first of all, let's go figure out what's going on with this bug. So when the app starts up, so there's our entry point. When the app starts up, we go into the Wow Shopping app. Entry point here. This does a load app, has a load app asynchronous function, which sets up the app and does whatever it needs to do. And this will be where we're trying to deal with logged in state. So the backend, when we initialize the backend of the app, this should be trying to load the auth state. Here's the auth repo. Here's our user JSON file. If it exists, but doesn't set the token. Aha. So I had this idea about saving the user, but what we actually want to save is the token as well. All right. So we kind of got different. We kind of got this notion of having data that we want the app to store and then return back, right, when the app starts up again. Normally, you might do like a config service or something where your app can store its data. At the moment, we have the auth repo doing its own user thing. The easiest solution right now would be to change this, right? So it stores the response instead of just the user. So I think that's what we're going to do right now. However, looking at this, it probably makes sense to then change that later on so that we're storing more data. Yeah, we can show you. I can show you how to do the environment thing in a minute. If someone reminds me. Yeah, so let's do this. So login is going to return back this response object, which is login response. That's what we're going to store instead of the user. So the way this is working before is when we emit a new user, it does save user, which is not exactly what we want to do. Retrieve user. That's what we do when we start up to ensure that we fetch the most recent user account. We're not doing that anymore. All right, so let's change this. So save user will be save auth state. Yeah, let's call it auth state. Let's update this. So we're going to want a new model. auth state. So this is something that we can save and recall from disk. We say disk, you know, like storage, old school. And we want, it's very much what's inside login response. So we could do something similar to this. Not the same, mind you, because the idea is that we'll have probably more stuff added to this, but we'll get there. So auth state.
Save it to the floppy.
Save it to the floppy, right? Oh, dearie me. Right.
Like the floppy icon that's still being used everywhere, and the kids don't even know what that is.
Right. Okay. Okay, so we now got auth state. So now what we need to do is we need to run build run a build. I actually have a button for this somewhere. There it is. Will it work? Fail.
No.
I think that's failing because I've got a different version. Am I using FEM? I've been playing around with different Flutter versions. That might be me. Hang on. 319.
Stop using FEM. Use Puro. Puro is much better.
Oh, shush. That is the wrong one. That would be one that's not working. Well, it's a one, but not the one. You are the one, Neo. Right. Yeah, that's a matching one. And then,
Speaking of movie references, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
oh, 4th of May?
Yeah, no, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, that makes sense. But we don't say May the 4th. We say 4th of May, you see. It doesn't work over here. It's not international. It's not International Day.
It's U.S. Star Wars Day, and that's the only part that in the world that matters as far as Star Wars goes.
Oh, I see. I see what it's like.
Yep. I'm going to be biased to the side of the pond.
All right. Well, let's fix this contention around version somewhere. Right.
I drive on the right side of the road.
The incorrect side. Gotcha. Okay. Why on earth that's having a problem? Oh, it's because of dev dependency. Whatever. There you go. It's building now. That's the main thing. Right. I should actually put that in the README, shouldn't I? Let's go look. App. I did an app. I want to common. No, app.
And to answer Rodolfo's question in the chat, ASDF is a fairly generic solution. Puro is very, very specific to the way Flutter releases come out and stuff. It's a much better setup. Puro, there's a lot of work there that worked really nicely.
Yeah, I do actually want to add Melos to this. So that's something else we could do. Should we do like a to-do? Let's do a little to-do list in here. So we're saying before we start forgetting things, right?
Yep.
What was the first thing we're doing? So we're going to add auth state persistence. We're going to add state restoration. And we wanted to add, what was the environment? Use environment file for server address. What was it? What was the next thing on that list? Melos. Add Melos. Anything else?
Puro. Learn about Puro.
How did I add those in Flutter icons to the top of your IntelliJ? Here you go. Do you want to see the magic? So you go into settings, and then here there's a section called external tools. There you go. And you can define whatever external tools you want. I define these, and as you can see, you just define where you've got Flutter, what the build parameters are, and you want to run it in the module file directory. Okay, that sets up an external tool. Then you edit your menu, you customize your menu, whatever it is, And then what you can do, as you can see, external tool, you say add, action, choose external tool, and then you can add the one that you've created. I don't know why these are all called external tool. To be fair, they're not supposed to name that. So they might be upgraded and they lost their names somewhere. I don't know what's going on there. Interesting. I wonder if I don't know, let's update them. See if it changes anything. Oh, I see that. Runs coverage report. 1, 2. To the end. See if that makes a difference. Anyway, ooh, I lost one.
You think we should manage the app by scopes, like by a scope manager?
Nah, see, I've broken everything now. Why did I listen to you people? Now just looks at external tool. This is not helpful. I even have default icon now. That's no good.
Local notifications, maybe? Or to do?
I'm just going to have to add them on, and then I'm just going to figure it out. Who knows? External tool. Have I? No, that one's already in there. This is so helpful. Thank you, IntelliJ. You've. Oh my goodness me, what are you doing? Where are you adding things? You going there? Will that work? This is what I find out. I've got like 3 of the same thing now. Flutter clean, build runner, coverage tip. That'll do. That'll do. I'm not going to play around with it. Anyway. So, what else do we have? Add local notifications to the to-do list. Sure. Local notifications. I mean, why not have push notifications as well? Push notifications. Manage apps by scopes. Scope manager.
This week's show will be entirely about figuring out what we're doing in future weeks' shows.
Well, you know.
This is a planning meeting. It's great.
It's a planning meeting. Right. All right. Let's see where we go. So let's get on with auth state persistence, then we'll come back. Right. Oh yeah, and I was going to add in here. Oh goodness me, where was it? Build, run, and build. No, is it? Yeah. So when you run this, it takes the current selected file and it runs it from the 351. Hey man, 315. How is that right? There's got to be something going on here in my versioning. 332. It's flipped again. But even then, that very strange. Right, can't be bothered. Right. Anyway. How strange. All right. Well, can't be bothered playing around with it right now. We'll just change this 1-1. There we go. Everyone's happy. Run it again. Does it build? Sorry, it's behind. It's all right. It's just stupid log output. Yeah, build works. Oh no, it's still going. Well, let me get the command. That's what I really wanted, and to put that in the README. Succeeded. That's good. Go in. Why is min lines? There's something that's not right here. It's like it's using the wrong version of Flutter. What's the global version? What have I got as my global version? Right. Why is it just stop telling me this? How's that? Right. 315. Is that no 313? 1 minute, FVM. Wait a second. Cancel. Is it that this project is using stable? I'm very confused. Version 3.19.4. It keeps reverting. Why does it keep doing that? Even the stable one is
Yeah, one of the reasons I stopped using FVM is I kept getting spooky interactions between what I was choosing and what I was running. Puro is much better at that. It really integrates well with the IDEs.
Well, I've never had a problem with this in the past.
Well, that's because I'm on this show. If I'm on the show, it's making your FVM get that.
I see what you're saying. It's all your fault. Gotcha.
Go ahead and blame me. It's fine.
I think it's the ID. I think something's going wrong.
Yeah.
But what I could do here is do Flutter upgrade. Surely, would that work? See what happens. 3.13.3. There you go. It's doing an upgrade. Who knows? Right. Whilst that's doing that, I'll probably have to go flip those things back on. Blimey. Nothing so simple. Right. We'll get there in the end.
There's a meta thread going on in the chat about what you can access from Flutter Web via XHR, and all you can do is make HTTP calls. You can't do arbitrary socket connections. You can't send arbitrary TCP data over the wire. You can only make REST calls, basically.
I'm going to make a little caveat to that.
Sure.
Is that is true. However, you can upgrade those HTTP calls to being sockets.
Sure. Yeah, you can.
WebSockets.
Right.
So,
okay.
You can't hear us. Well, listen harder.
Yeah, really. We hear each other. We hear each other just fine.
Testing. No, that's definitely coming through. Right. All right. So let's try this again. Will this now work correctly? I don't know. It's reanalyzing. Yay. Okay. All right. Let's move on before it decides to change again. Right. So, where was I? Yes, auth state. So we're going to go into auth service, auth repo, and we create our auth state model, right, which has access user and so on. And we're going to want to take, when we log in, we're going to want to take that and store it. And when we start up, we want to restore it. So let's make the file call and call it auth state. And then we're going to go auth state from JSON. And why is that a problem? Because it's storing in current user. Okay, yeah. Auth state. And then current user equals auth state dot user and then token. Where are we storing our token? Do we store our token? Probably not. Which probably begs the point here that this should probably be auth state rather than current user. just going to break everything. Don't worry. Oh, okay. Yeah, because it needs to be user model. That's correct. Does he use a model? Serialize? Yeah. Right. Need to run now. Build runner again. Run. Right. Okay. So we now got auth state that stores the user. And we there's the access token. We're going to get rid of that. And this is going to be auth state.access token. And when we start up, there's going to be auth state. We're basically just flipping out auth state and current user. So it's holding more than just current user now. We need a none in our auth state. So the none is just like this notion of having, instead of having it nullable and having the null equal a value, we're saying, no, this value, this static constant none means none. It's another name for this is sentinel value, but it's this notion of that it doesn't, what's the word? No, it's gone, but I know what I mean. Right. Let's just move on. Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to restore auth state. And when it starts up, we're going to emit auth state user. All right. So emit user. Save auth state. So this is slightly different. Emit user now, that's more about sending the user out. Maybe there's a change here. Updating the current user value. That's now auth state. I reckon this needs to be changed around slightly. Let's get there. All right, so that's going to emit there, and we're also using emit. No, I kind of want to. We need this set to its file. Update auth state. Auth state. Auth state equals state. Is this no notify listeners? Save auth state. And then emit auth state.user. And then emit user just becomes that. All right, let's move on. So logging in, once we get our response back, we want to create a new auth state. That's going to contain what the app expects, which is a user and a token. And that will then store it locally, save that update state, and emit that state. To be honest, that can actually be later. And then log out. Similarly, we want to update the auth state to auth state none, thus logging the user out. Cool. We'll sort out retrieve view in a second, and then when we save the auth state, we go, is the auth state equal to user none? Then we want to make sure we delete the file. This is auth state none. Now, interesting enough, we don't have these set up correctly because that's going to be not the correct match. I can't believe we haven't done this already. We need equitable. Well, there's lots of options, but so for those that don't know, equitable by Felix is a nice simple package for adding equals and hash code overrides, just so you don't have to deal with it yourself. It's not a problem dealing with yourself. In fact, I can show you what we need to do, but it's sometimes just easier just to deal with it like this. If you're using freezed or some of these other things, they generate for you. So in this case, if you want auth state, and we'll do it for all the model, so we say extends equitable, and then it will want one override, which gives it what properties we want to compare. And these are the fields that we want to compare between things. So in this case, this would be access token and user. And that's it. That will override, equitable will override the equals operator and the hash code, and it will even do stringification if you wanted to do that, which we will. I think there's a default, where is it? There's a default string thing that it does, isn't there, if I remember rightly? Oh yeah, there you go. Equitable config.stringify. So what we could do is turn that on when the app starts up and say, oops, if widget.deployment, is it? .config.environment is dev, then we'll turn on stringification. Right, let's go back. So our model, let's add in extends equitable to cart item, cart storage, category. The enum's already got that. Enum, product item, and user. And implement the various things. The name. Obviously, if you do this, you're going to need to remember that if you adjust your fields, you're going to need to add them to this, right? So if you add new fields. Right, product.
Packages that use annotations and build to be able to avoid some of that.
Yeah.
But this is the easiest one to just drop in and not need a builder. So we'll have macros and then it'll just all work.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That'll solve a bunch of these kind of things.
We're apparently waiting for that, though. It might not be as soon as we want.
It can't come any sooner than now. God damn it! I need now. We could actually enable. I think there's like oh no, it's WASM I'm thinking of. There's like the demo mode thing that they're doing. Whatever. Right. Oh, we did that before. What was it called? Experimentation flags, isn't it, on Flutter? So you can like turn on various things whilst they're still developing them. Probably shouldn't do that, but you can if you want to. They do actually offer these things out for beta as well, which is quite nice. Do you remember those times? I don't feel like we've had much of that kind of stuff recently. Do you remember when they did like new stuff and we'd get the beta channel saying, "Oh, check out the beta channel or the alpha channel," and then you'll see the new features, and you can try them out. Give us
Well,
the response that we can.
yeah, they were pivoting strongly with the Dart 3 release, I think, because they were throwing in a bunch of other new features at the same time. So there was a lot of releases related to Dart 3 that had new features being rolled in and out, like the extra types or annotations for classes, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Dart 3 was a amazing 45-degree pivot, which I've said happened now 3 times in Dart's history.
Honestly, there's no other language I think you could have done that with.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of interesting early design decisions. I think some pretty smart, sharp cookies to even make Dart 1, so that it could be grown properly.
Maybe there's also sort of a set of sort of happenstance there from the need for they had the need to do that at the beginning because of the support for JavaScript. So
Yeah.
it needed to be flexible.
Right. Like the early decision to not have finalizers because JavaScript couldn't support that until now.
Right. So okay. Auth state. Now I had to do all that because I wanted auth state equals to work here. Now this is because of the fact that I generate an auth state object, and then if that object's fields match none, then it's none still. No, you don't actually have to have the exact reference to none. Okay, so there you go. So that's done there. And then we want to take auth state to JSON. Okay, so
we do have unrelated questions in the chat. I would like to keep the questions somewhat focused on what we're working on here. So feel free to come back on Monday, or unless you want to take some of those.
I mean, I won't say we could answer them, but if you want to say them, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm utilizing a 2D table view builder to which this requirement that I have a okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
we're back on Wednesday.
Yeah, Fives will come back Wednesday. We can do it then.
Okay, so what's next? So, okay, I feel like we've got this to a point now where when we log in, we're going to save our access token. And when we log out, we're going to clear that access token and user. And when the app starts up, it's going to restore that. And then this token getter is what's being passed to the API service. And that's how it supplies the token to the API request. So we should no longer get those errors, and we should stay logged in. This kind of solves the bug that was already in there. So let's restart and see what happens. Obviously have to log in at least once. Log in. Okay, so now if I hot restart, we don't stay logged in. Dun dun dun. All right, let's see what happened. What went wrong? I think I don't know what I think. I'm thinking that something is a bug. Oh dear, come on. Right, let's go hunt this down. So we have a future that sets up auth state, is logged in. Well, that's not being used at the front. Maybe, do we not even... It may be possible that we didn't make the UI reflect the login state, and that would, I guess, make sense. So on state changed. That's when we go to the main screen login screen. When the app starts up, is logged in. There we go. Okay, so this makes sense. So all right, so the bug is, so let me explain what the bug is. So first of all, what we've got this going, the way this works is the top level of the app sits there and listens to the logged in state change from the auth repo. And then when that happens, we then look to see, did we go from a logged in or logged out state? Then we should go to the login screen or the main screen, vice versa. And then when the app first starts up, when it chooses the default route, we go, oh, if you're logged in, then show the login screen. If you're not logged in, show the login screen. Otherwise, show the main screen. Now, interesting enough, what this means is that when we started up, we start up in the fact that is logged in is always set to false. We never load the initial state. So after we initialize our backend, what we actually need to do is load our all state. So are we logged in? And that's it. That's simply the bug. So, and now, yay, we start logged in. And that's step one. All right. So now if I go to the shopping cart screen and then go away from the app and come back to the app. Oh, that's oh yeah, get okay. So let me explain the bug that just happened. All right. Let me. Oh, I've been adding things to the wrong place in my toolbar. I just noticed. Hang on, 1 second. Did I just add all the external tools? That's better. Sorry. Okay. What was I saying? Yes, login. What just went wrong? So, oh, I know what went wrong. So, when you backend your app and it gets shut down, when it starts up with the very first version you built with of Flutter, not the hot reloaded version. If you want to test stuff where your app gets shut down or it's in the background, you need to stop the app and start it up fresh. That's interesting. And that's what we're going to do. So let's do that now. And then that will start up and assemble and ship into the app the dark code that we start with. If the app gets shut down and when it starts back up again, it starts with that dark code, not the hot reloaded version, because that only lives ephemerally over the wire, right? So when you hot reload, it sends it over and just runs it. It doesn't store it. I feel that this is a bug and it's been there since day one, but it's the way it works. All right, here we go. Do we start logged in? Yes, we do. This is good. Let's go to the shopping basket, go away from the app, go back into the app. It restarts and we're back, but we're not in the shopping basket. Okay. So let's fix this up first. So let's go back to our README and task one, all state persistence done. Right. Let's go push that to the repo so you can all get those changes. Don't worry too much about that. So we've got our changes to the app startup, auth repo, auth state, and our equitable changes to some import dependency. Yep. All right. So how are we doing this? Yeah. All right. Added all state persistence. All right. So there you go. That's committed. Right. So next, state restoration. We finally got the state restoration. We're going down the rabbit hole. I mean, that's the problem. Right. So let's get to state restoration. So I'm thinking that we want to restore top level. So we had what was it called? Main screen. There we go. All right. So let's go to main screen. Here's our main screen. And when it starts up, here our nav item. So we have this notion of a selected nav item. What we want to do is have that nav item be a persisted property and then for it to restore. So what we should be able to do is register that. So when we did this before, where am I? Restoration mixin. Oh, what a lovely site. All that lovely text. Well, you ask for documentation and you get it. So let's have a look. Can be serialized out later point. Mixin organizes the restored data of a state object in a restorable property. All information in state wants to get restored. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so we have got the restorable built-in restorable properties. Let's go take a look. So if I remember rightly, Okay. Is there a better option? Oh, there you go. Restorable number, restorable string, restorable date time. Enum. A nullable enum type. All right. So is there a restorable enum? Did I miss that? That sounds exactly what we want. Yeah, restorable enum. Knows how to store and restore an enum type. The current value of this property is stored in the data. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So theory goes. We just chuck it in there and it works.
How can we get restorable enums, but we can't get enums that JSON serialized properly? That's just so weird.
Well, yeah, but this is a wrapper around an enum, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes more sense.
Oh, you know what? This would be perfect example of extension types if they want to update the Flutter SDK, right? So values. Oh, interesting. So I need to supply nav item values. All right. The default value and the values it can be. Okay. And then selected dot value equals this. And we need to implement the mixin. Restorable mixin. I think that's right. I'm not even sure we need to do that. Let's have a quick look. No, this is just this does none of the registration. This is just saying it's restorable. Ah, there you go. Register for the current value stored in this property represents the current value, blah, blah, blah. With restorable mixin, calling restorable mixin register for restoration. So that's what I remembered. So let's go. Oh, it's restoration mixin, not restorable mixin. Okay. Okay, so 8 overrides. Wow. Okay. Why? Why so many? I'm sure we don't need to do that. I'm like 100% sure we don't need to do that. Right. So we've got the don't keep activities on, so we can test it. I know you have your restorable scopes. You need to create a bucket. Well, I guess we can. Let's do its thing. I should go look at my own talk. It's been a while since I looked at this. All right. Well, let's go back to where was I? Restorable mixin. See what it says. Manage the restoration of data for a state object of a stateful object from a stateful widget. Restoration data can be serialized out and at a later point be used to restore the stateful members of state. This mixin organizes the restoration of a state object in restorable property. All information the state object wants to get restored. See, this is what I'm saying. This is more about it has a custom restorable property. The mixin ensures the current values of the restorable properties are serialized as part of this restoration state. It is up to the state to ensure that the data stored in the properties are always kept up to date. Right, give me an example. That's what I want. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Why is that? Oh, I zoomed in too far. Apparently that's a thing. Ah, there we go. All right, so let's go look at this. So, yep, restorable ID app at the top level. We need to do that. Let's go chuck that in. Where's the app? Yeah, This is just sort of an ID to put at the top, and then everything below that can be restored. Restorable counter. Yeah, so you have restorable counter, get restoration ID, right? So if I go to here, restoration ID, this is our, say, let's call it main screen. Bring that up. To do implement, is it implements? What did we do mixing? Oh, that's why it didn't make sense. Come on, why didn't anyone tell me? With this, that's better. I was like, no, I didn't have to do all that hard work to do this. No. All right, so let's get rid of all of this. Put our restoration ID at the top. Sure. All right, so there we go. Restore state. That's right. That's all we need to do. Oh, I've lost it. Sorry, going up and down a bit there. Yeah, register for restoration with an ID. That's it. So that's all we need to do. So in here, and we're saying what we want to restore, which is the selected, and we'll say selected. I don't know, I'll do. That's it, I think, if I remember rightly. Oh, we need to dispose of our selected. Right. Cool. All right, after all that, I'll go back through this and explain it because that was a bit back and forth there. I should probably take, hang on, let's get that up. There we go. Just fix up these little errors and then we can move on. All right, so let's try this out. So hot restart. So actually I'm going to need to, again, stop. That's interesting, it does that. Right, start it up again. All right, let's just take you through what I've done here. It's not as complicated as I was making it out there. So first of all, you need a restoration ID on your top level material app, scope ID. This gives you a scope that you can register things against. That's when you need it. Call it whatever you want. In this case, app, WoW shopping, for example, would be still valid, but you can call it whatever you want. Then inside our main screen widget, we implement with restoration mixing. And this requires us to say, what are we putting these values against inside of our scope? This is under the key main screen. That's the restoration ID. We could have that passed in. So if we wanted to have this widget multiple times, then we would have it as a parameter to our actual widget, and then you could change it. And then anything that's a restorable, i.e. restorable enum, int, property, there was a ton of those that we looked at, right? So where were they? Restorable value. There, time of day, string, number, enum, date, time, bool. These are all restorable values. And if it doesn't fall into one of those like primitive types, then you can do your own property with a restorable property, and that requires you to override the to primitive and from primitive down here, from the from primitives and so on, to primitives. And this is basically the same as like to JSON from JSON, in other words, right? Same kind of thing. Yeah. And then you can also do some other types on top of this, but for the moment, that's what we care about. Now, if we go back to our code, all we had to do is implement restore state and register our restorable properties with an ID to the current scoped bucket that the mixin is making for us, basically. All right, so hopefully I've restarted it. We start it up. Should we see if it works? So if I go to the shopping basket and then we swipe the app away, that's cancelled the app. It terminated it, remember, because we've got don't keep activities turned on. And we open it back up. It restarts the app and we crash. On generate initial routes. Ooh. Global key was used multiple times inside child list. Well, that's interesting. Where did that come from? Navigation state. Well, I never. Second child was instantiated with the key focus inherited scope. A global key can only be used. That's got to be a framework issue. The first child to get instantiated with that key was navigator. Well, I think we're using Go Router. It's definitely not anything in our code, right? So let's go one step further here and just update the dependency. Are we using Go Router? I thought we were using Go Router. It doesn't look like it. Oh, now I can't blame someone else for my bugs. Darn. All right, let's try running it up again. Is there any information around? Okay, starts up fine this time. Tap on that. Open it back up again. Interesting. All routes returned by onGenerate are not restorable. I missed that. Okay. Please make sure that all routes return onGenerate initial routes. Return by on have their route settings defined with names that are defined in the app's routes table. Okay.
So you're gonna have to rewrite your entire router.
No, it's not. It's not that way. Basically, what's happening right now is it's trying to return it to its previous state, and it stored the name of the route, but then it tried to look up the name of the route in the routes table, which doesn't exist, right? So all we need to do is ensure that we've got a routes table defined, so that when it restores the location, and I didn't know it even did that. So basically, what's happening? So let me be clear about this. So what's happening right now in this example is that we added a restorable scope ID to Material App. The Material App has taken upon itself to pass that on to the navigator, which I didn't know it did. Let's go. I'm just going to see if I can hunt this down. Hang on. And here we go. We're not doing that one. Give me a second. Widgets app, which is the internal. I'm just going to trace this down here. Identifier for use for state restoration of this app, provided this restoration ID inserts a root restoration scope into the widget hierarchy, which enables state restoration for descendant widgets. Providing a root restoration ID also enables navigator or router built by widgets app to restore its state. The restoring histories of the stack of the active routes. See the navigator for more information. That's the bit that's magically been enabled for us that I wasn't aware of. So, okay, good. We now know that. So what we need to do is add a routes table, which is easy enough. Route builder, isn't it? Route page builder? I don't remember. Let's go take, what was it? No, widget builder, sorry. All right. So we want login screen dot route name. I don't think we actually added names yet, so we'll do this main screen dot route name. And then we want a widget builder for those. Don't particularly like this, and I prefer it to do it myself. Let me just go take a quick look and see if we can, how this registers, and if we can actually end up doing it ourselves. Oops. So here's the variable, and okay, restoration router, focus scope, nav. Okay, so Navigator automatically has one. You'd think it would be like, if you don't have a routes table, then we're not going to do automatic route restoration. That kind of annoys me. I know a way of fixing it, but it's just super annoying. And there's no hook. Restorable push. Oh, I didn't know there was a thing called navigate restorable push. Interesting. Yeah, okay. So restoration ID, user encapsulate this route when restoring it. All right, well, let's just see how it goes. I can't. So let me just express my point around my concern around this, doing it this way, right? It's going to restore, let's say, okay, I'll give an example. The user logs in, they get their token, we store their token, their auth token. They background the app the app gets shut down by the platform and does the state restoration. It stores the state of what route they were on, which was the main screen. Then the app loads back up in the later when they open it, in some time in the future, they open the app back up. It then tries to restore the state to the main screen. However, the token of the user says they're logged out. So we actually wanted to open the app up on the login screen. So you following that?
Yeah. No, it's lots of moving parts.
Yeah, I think what's probably going to end up happening here is it's perhaps one of I would have thought it would have called on generate route with the route settings that it's trying to restore. That would have made so much more sense. I could try and hunt down where it's actually doing the restoration to see what it's doing. The way around this would be to just well, let me just show you briefly a way of stopping this from actually happening, which may or may not be what you desire, but I want to just show people how you might do this. So in this situation, build child. So if you want to override anything internal to Material app, you add a builder, and the builder is run to build the widgets inside. And what happens is you get provided a child widget, which is the navigator. So just so happens that if you wanted to override the navigators or wrap the navigator with like a bottom nav bar or do other fancy things, you can actually do that by overriding your own navigator in here. And then as long as it's got the same key as what they expect, then you've just basically got around that entire problem. It's a hack. It's not really
Yeah, Builder's an interesting thing, a hidden feature of Material App. When I stumbled across it, I went, oh, that can solve those situations where I want something above my navigator rather than
Yep.
below my navigator for all paths, for all navigation paths.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it's erring because I actually forgot to pass the rest of the parameters to navigate, of course. But let's do that. So if I take this on generate route, I'm going to stick in a function. Try that again. Let's just see what happens. I just want to know if this solves it in my theory is correct, but I won't actually do this. It's not. It'd be better to have it restore and probably solve it different way. Oops.
Here's an alternative way, but I can see why that's actually more expensive from a programmer perspective.
Okay, so there we are. Restored. You go to the basket, swipe it away, open it back up, and we get back in. And it didn't crash this time, so that bug was solved. But equally, it didn't restore the main, what do we call it, bucket. Now, I think I know. So it didn't restore back to the basket. The reason for this is we don't have, because the navigator doesn't have a restorable state. It hasn't made a node for restorable content inside the navigator for the page. All right, so anyway, let's do this. Let's take this back a bit. Pop back in our routes and our route builders and get this working. So what we want to do, make these public, and we'll do some route names for these, which they should have been had already, to be fair. So we'll call this what, login. Const. All right, so we have login, and let's go to main. This just reminds me of my very first talk I gave on navigation. It's very popular. Right, so route name. We want to add our settings in here, route settings. So when we build a route, it actually has the right name. That's the first priority there. And we'll do the same thing on both this and main screen. There we go. All right. And yeah. What's it say actually? Oh, yeah, fine. Sure. Right. All right. So now we've got login and main routes with the right names. If we come back to here, this means when these get made, they'll be given the same name because they've got the same constructor. And when I'm going to put our router function back in there. Now, here's the thing. What we want to do is change our route, our initial route. So our initial route should identify itself based on the logged in state. So is logged in, then we want to use login screen dot route name, main screen. Otherwise, we'll use the login screen. Then what's going to happen is generate route would be called. Now, we don't actually need to do this logic anymore. If we get rid of this, the route table will handle that. So the initial route will be picked. It will choose the right one for the route table and start that up. So let's again stop and start fresh. then we can test this out. All right, what do we have in terms of questions coming in? Anything we should look at? I've not been looking at the chat at all. Well,
I've been trying to answer at random. There was the thing that Dishank said, why not add a wrapper page on all your pages? But that, like, I was just answering that that's probably just more complex for the programmers.
I mean, you can do that, but then, you know, you don't get to take advantage of what Navigator's giving you in the top level. You can also not even use a Material app and just do everything yourself.
Yep.
There's lots of ways of doing it.
Yep. There's a question about auto route. Overall good for
Cherie.
I see people in both the auto route and the go router camp. It seems more like a Emacs.
I mean, I'll be honest, they're all good. Like, just because one doesn't have what's the problem with breaking changes? That's what I want to tell you. What is the problem with breaking changes? There should be zero problem with breaking changes for all developers. It's annoying to a developer because they have to make some changes, but then there is you're getting better stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're getting like move with the times, right?
Right. Refactor. That should be what you're doing, and you get paid even for refactoring, so it's not bad. Hopefully, you get paid. Yeah, there wasn't really much anything else. I've been keeping up with people out here. We had an argument about why inherited widget is broken, stuff like that. Yeah.
Is it Joanne? Sorry.
Johan.
Yeah. Johan. Sorry. Yes, thanks Johan for the message earlier, by the way.
Yep. Cool.
Anything else I need to? I don't know.
No. Yeah, we were just talking about the source of RiverPod and why inherited widget's broken. I answered all that. Talked about the usual question now about is the Flutter team going away? No, I pasted the link to Mike Thompson's posting on that. Who's the head of the team? There's a tweet.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of just scanning through, see if there's anything I'm missing. Yeah. Which state management are we using? We used all of them actually. So if you go look at the branches, you'll find there's a branch for RiverPod, there's a branch for provider, there's a branch for this, there's a branch for that block. But all the stuff that's in here is homegrown. No particular state management solution. It's just using raw things from the Flutter package. Is the name correct for auth state instead of auth model? It's a name. I call it either one. I think auth state was the one that I should use because it's a state as a whole. But auth state model will probably be the correct name, but it really doesn't matter.
This is leading to something that I keep seeing over and over again is like people looking for a Bible to follow. You know, like it must be this name or it must be this architecture, and it's like no. And actually, the comment I made on Discord right now was, no, it's like patterns and conventions are training wheels on your bike. But eventually, if you want to lean into the corners, you got to get rid of the training wheels. And then you will be able to lean into the corners. But yeah, it's kind of okay at the beginning to ask, well, what's a typical pattern for doing something like this? Because that'll get you started. But I don't consult my magic list of 17 spells to figure out how I'm going to implement this next feature. I just go, oh, I'm going to need something that gets to observe that, and then that needs to be able to be modified by these callbacks. You know, you learn the structural technology of things, and that gets you beyond Gang of Four patterns and classic MVVM and all that. It's like none of that makes sense. The most important thing to learn is write tests. And if you can't test it, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah.
which means
Okay.
you end up creating proper separation of concerns where your model can't be intermingled with your view, or you can never test it. It's just horrible.
Yeah. Anyway, right.
Anyway,
Right. Let's keep going here.
Randall.
So I did see someone said, "What's the usage of the count, usage count, and name after each method?" So that's in the IDE. If you enable integration with your VCS, your version controls, source code version control system. If you're using the Ultimate Edition, it comes with code vision with inlay hints, and that will tell you how many usages you've got, and you can see what those usages are, take you to it, and then also git blame and tell you who actually caused the bug or an issue, which is kind of helpful when you're browsing code with a team. To know who you should be taken to, or who changed the code last, or whatever. Okay.
What do you mean about the Shreeman query? What the heck was that?
I was going to work away through some of these. What happened to the dark data class generator? I didn't even notice the repo being archived. I don't know. No, I've not actually seen it, but I suspect it's been archived because the I don't know.
If he's talking about the plugin for VS Code, which I find useful and use every day, it was forked, and I'm using the fork.
I was going to say if it was anything like a lot of these projects, that they'll probably start like dying off or feeling that they need to be replaced with something that uses macros, right? So macros are going to replace this kind of stuff. So
that, and the problem was that the first version of DDCG that I used had some limitations, particularly around generating proper null safe copy widths, as it hadn't caught up even with 212. So maybe they fixed it. Maybe there's a fork that's actually fixed it. I don't know. I don't use that so much anymore. I'm using essentially Codium, which is like Copilot but free and better trained, to do my sort of expansions. I say generate the data class for this, and it just does the right thing. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's Codium with an E, Codeium. It's totally free. It was trained on non-GPL data, so you don't have any chance of GPL code injected into your code. Very smart thing. Codium.com, I think it is. I'll put the link in the notes here.
So I'm just going to sort of bash through whatever's been left in the chat here. And so one session on scroll to index and lister, and how does it work, please? Please. Yes, scroll to index is a thing. There's actually a widget by a package by Google that offers this, the Google.dev. Let me find it quickly for you. To be honest, scroll to index is a lot harder than people think. There's no magical, it's just easy and it just works, because like most things, one size does not fit all. Right, JSON serializable build value. By the way, if you haven't tried any of these packages from the Google.dev publisher, you're probably missing out on something. So it might be worth exploring them. I'll put the link in the chat. I will. There's 6 pages. I've forgotten the name of it. It's like it'll be the one thing I'm looking for. It'll be there, but scrollable position list. That's the one, because it's such a great name. I'll pop this in chat. There you go. A list that scrolls to a specific item in the list allows you to determine what items are currently visible. Simply that. There you go. Like item count, and then you can go scroll to index. It's exactly what you're asking for. There you go. And the reason why it's complicated is because you don't really want. I'll give an example. Let's say you've got 10,000 items in a list, right? You don't know how many. Let's switch back to this bit. You've got. Let's say you've got 10,000 items in your list, and you want to scroll down. All right, the scroll position is based off of pixels. Well, this means that if you want to scroll down to index 5,000, you have to calculate and lay out 5,000 widgets at least, or and their hierarchies, right? Everything inside them for all the previous list items to know what point you scroll to. That is unrealistic. And it means that you end up having this long scroll that takes forever to get to, right? So you actually have to change the way that you approach scrolling in general. And that's the problem, right? So scrolling in general then gets based off of index and offset. So I've done this before. I've done a couple of which I think there's a couple of packages I did on Google which sort this out, but on Pub. But the notion is that you're saying go to this index and then you're at a positive or negative pixel scroll from that point, and this allows you to kind of deal with this notion of warping, which is the jumping straight to an item. So as you scroll, once the velocity of the scroll gets to a certain point, you then tell it to just skip to the item. And this means that it doesn't actually scroll or move. Literally, it's the same pixel offset, but it thinks like you've simulated the point that you're now at, instead of at, I don't know, item 100, you're at item 1000. And what this means is when they scroll back up, they're going back from 1000, not from 100. Does that make any sense? Probably not. The point here is that you basically making a virtual index for your scrolling that's not pixel orientated. Anyway, but this package solves your problem. There you go. Go nuts. Did I have the package up on the screen? I didn't. Yeah, that one. Scrollable position list. Yeah, there you go. Right. What was next in our list here of questions and things?
Well, I found the link to the Dart data class generator fork that I'm using, so and it's been updated as recently as 2 months or 3 months ago, so pretty good. This is the discussion in the middle of why inherited widget is broken.
Oh yeah. Let's not go that.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, like, is that what you want to understand what this is? The broken is
I explained it. You can just leave it.
I'm not. I'm gonna skip all that. I'm not gonna go into that. And it's not necessarily broken. It's just it works a different way than people expect. So it's bugging there, I guess. I mean, it's one of those things that it's not actually that complex to implement. I think that it feels like it is exactly that. It's a hydration technique, right?
Right.
The idea is that you're saving state and restoring state restoration. Not all. This is the point, right? You're not doing it for all. You're doing it for the ones that matter for the state that you're trying to restore. For the most part, most ephemeral state you don't need to care about, right? And your app state comes back anyway, because that's what you should be storing and saving anyway. Like earlier, we did auth state. That is your app state. That's your own state that you're persisting and doing however you want. And then, anything that's like ephemeral as part of widget state, that's what you show on the screen. Well, you're welcome, Lane. Let's skip forwards. I think I've seen some of these other ones.
Yeah.
What keyboard am I using? This is the Logitech MX Master Pro mechanical keyboard. I think it's something like that. There you go. It's a Logitech mechanical keyboard. It's low profile keys. That's why I like it. So it's still mechanical.
That's low profile, really?
Well, no. These are yeah. Look at normal mechanical keyboard keys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a laptop user, so I have no idea what you guys do with all these fancy keyboards.
Right, but yeah. So rather than having like your normal sort of like IBM keycap, which are like about a centimeter high, you're getting these low profiles. But they still have travel, and they're still MX clear. These are MX clears on this, and they light up and stuff, whatever else. Nice. Right. Go router is not working with PopScope. Yeah, the new changes. It's going to take time, like most things, and that will be the same with any router package. To be fair, I don't see any reason why it would be difficult to add that, but I'm not the maker of the Go router package, so. Literally, let me be clear. Literally, Navigator 2 and the way it does its state management literally says directly applies to PopScope, right? Like you know the state up front. That's the whole idea of Navigate 2. So it can deal with PopScope directly. I don't know why that would be a problem. Skipping through. Need to render with visible properties. You don't. Yeah. There's way. Keep running scroll. Yeah. No, you don't need to do any of that stuff. You also don't need. Yeah. If you have a fixed height item, that's one of the reasons why. For those that don't know, if you look at the API docs for like list view, there's a couple of different constructors, named constructors. Let's go find them. Somewhere down here. Here we go. So you've got list view, builder, custom, separated. And on these, you'll find item extent. So let's go to builder. Won't tell me in here, item extent. Which is the magical thing that most people miss. There's also prototyped items, which is another interesting concept. Item. I don't know why.
With prototype item, you just build like a card. If you have a bunch of cards, just your outer layers, and then you can figure out what the height of that card is. It's kind of cool.
So, here you go, item extent. Specify item extent, fishing related. The children determine their own extent because scrolling machinery can make use of foreknowledge, knowing the child's extent to save work. So basically, what you do is you specify this, and it will, like I say, your height is going to be 200 or whatever. And then when you want to scroll to a specific child index, you're saying, oh, index times 200. Now you've got your pixel offset. Done. Simple. And there is, there's also a prototype item, which is a bunch of stuff. And that, again, is around the same sort of thing. I forget. It would have to go. So the prototype item. So this is okay, I remember this now. You do your prototype item. It self-calculates the size based on the widget that you give it. And then that height of that widget is what's used as the extent for all the other widgets. Anyway, right, back to where we were. Okay, anyway, is there any more questions? Did I miss some? Fixed height was easier, blah, blah, blah. Shrink wrap. Do not do shrink wrap. Don't do it. Just don't.
The weekly message: do not do shrink wrap.
RGB mouse or Apple, neither. This is the MX Master 3. Yeah, that is. I prefer this because. Let me bring this up. I just went to grab the mouse and it was in my hand. Let me bring up the. There you go. So it's a bit bigger. So if you haven't seen one of these, there you go. And the idea is that it fits into the sort of the palm of your hand, and you get the thumb wheel and all those buttons there that you can do. What did I say about shrink wrap? Don't use it. So for those that don't know, list view. Well, list view has not just list view, like viewports themselves, but you have something like a builder. Let's just do this. You have an option called shrink wrap. What this is going to do, let's say I've got an item count of 10,000 items, 1,000 items. What do you think that's going to do if I put that widget in the hierarchy? It's going to go through and build 1,000 widgets with the item builder, calculate the entire overall height, and then set that as the height of the list view. That's what shrink wrap does. There's very, very, very few use cases of shrink wrap that you actually need to be using that do not cost a lot in terms of, in terms of development, in terms of rebuilding of widgets and running cost. Right. Single child scroll view. It's not the same, but the same problems. So single child scroll view is different. It doesn't have to. It does build all the widgets, but it's not the same because this is about what's the word? This is more about the. Oh goodness me, gracious me! What was I saying? No, I just lost it. I need a break in a minute. But anyway, whatever. Right, moving on. Yeah, right. Let's move on. So let's come back to this. Right. All right. So what were we doing? We were debugging, and then I stopped, I think. So let's hit stop again and set it up just to make sure. So we got to the point now, I think, where we updated the routes and we wanted to test it, right? Okay. So when it comes to state restoration, named routes must. Restoration scope ID on your Meteor app. Okay, good. And then third of all, you need to do your restorable properties using restorable mixin. All right, so now if I go to basket, swipe that away, open it back up again. Hey, we're back on the basket. Yay. And if I go to favorites, back out, go back in, it restarts, and we're logged in and we're back on favorites. Yeah. Okay, we got a win. All right, let's put that in. Where's our README? Where's our README? Let's go tick that off. State restoration done. Well, you know, as much as we need to do right now. Obviously, there's a lot more to that, right? So we already restored like the shopping cart and the favorites and whatever. That's the app state, right? But we could even like restore like the. Well, why don't we do that? That might be fun. Shall we? Let's restore which of these are open and expanded. This is another thing to add to the list, right? So let's go to that screen. It's categories. Here's our categories page. And we have I made some custom widgets, didn't I? Sliver expansion tiles. That's what I remember that. And tile host. Okay, anyway, tile host initially expanded. And this makes a tile controller. We don't specify a controller. Okay, so we lift out the controller. When the controller changes, we could have the value that's inside the controller be stored and restored, and we can do a custom property for this. Yes, the don't keep activities option is enabled right now, Paco. That's why it's shutting down and restarting each time we open it back up again. What about a scenario that requires them to do biometric authentication before taking them to the desired screen? I mean, I can't imagine why we'd want to do that on shopping app, but you could easily do that. I mean, there's a ton of ways of doing that. Like you can just wrap your routes, right, and have a top level thing that protects the route. That's one easy way of doing it. You have one at top level just does it in terms of the app as a whole, right? I mean, you got to remember all you're doing there, yeah, on app launch, yeah. So all you're doing there is you're going, okay, did they recently do their pin or whatever? No. Okay, then show them the pin screen. They enter it in. You store the state that what time they did their pin. So if they've come out of the app and come back into it, they've got a brief moment, you know, like 5 minutes before they have to do it again, right? I mean, you can do it however you want, 12 seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know. The problem here is like, it's to solve that problem. There is actually a leave hint as well that you can get. But the point here is that when someone, let's say they're filling out a form and they pick an image, they leave the app to pick the image and then they come back. But what you don't want to do is when they come back from picking the image, to put their pin in to get back into the app. It's super annoying. So you normally just give it a time delay. Anyway, let's get on with doing this. Let's put the state restoration in for this. So we want to, instead of build a tile controller, we're going to pass one in. then we don't have to specify the yeah. So add and remove the listener. We don't manage it, and we can get rid of our private controller, I guess. Yeah. But we'll need to update the way that we manage our listener here. So what this is about is the fact that since we're out of basically did update dependencies, did update widgets, sorry. So if our widget.controller is different from the old widget controller, then we're going to need to unregister our callback from the old one. So old widget.controller, remove listener, update, control update, and then to the new widget controller, we're going to start listening. Okay. Cool. All right. So now we've lifted out the controller. We make that required. And we go back to our screens. And now it's going to complain that we don't have one, but that's the whole point. So now we can lift that state up. And we're going to have our controller. We want a controller and we want to be able to restore it. So tile controller, let's do that. Pass that in. And then we need to make sure that we're initializing that when this widget starts up. So we need to somehow restore that state. And we also want to dispose of that correctly now that we own it. And the product details page has another expanding one. So we want to lift that up as well. And that has an initial expanded description. This is stateless. Let's make it stateful. This one's going to be different. So I have tile controller equals server expansion tile controller expanded sections. There you go. Pop that in there. And pass our controller in. And make sure we dispose of our controller. Is my keyboard very loud? If someone's asking about my keyboard, it's normally not that loud, but it might be because I haven't got my earbuds in. So apologies. Okay. So back to categories page. All right. Basically, we're in a situation now where we need to restore a custom property. That custom property is going to store a list of strings. That's the expanded sections. The whole idea is that this doesn't modifiable outside because we want to notify. So we need a way of fetching them. Yeah, we could put this, to be honest, we could put the state restoration. Oh, I've done this. Have I done this the right way? If we weren't using a controller and it was just ephemeral state, then yeah, if it was that, then there'd probably be a different way of doing this. But yeah, let's proceed with this. Right. So I want a list of string expanded sections, list unmodifiable, expanded. Right. Cool. It's a getter. This is where I can access this private list, but never can be modified outside of this. You have to go through set expanded or toggle expanded, right? And then previously we were using the private field to get if it's expanded or not, and I think we can avoid that now. Okay. So how do we do this? Right, we'll do what we did before with restoration mix in. Add the 2 fields we need. Let's bring it up. And we'll give this name, categories, page. Now, this is the question, right? Let's go look into the details of how this has been restored. Okay, so bucket, restore state, did toggle bucket, properties, list of properties, register for restoration. Okay, so what does it say? Registers a property for a state for restoration, associates the provided property with the provided restoration ID. If the restoration data is available for the provided restoration ID, the property's value is restored to the value described by the restoration data. If no restoration data is available, the property will be initialized to a property's specified default value. Okay, and then how does this actually work? Let's have a look. So it looks at okay, does the bucket contain this value? Great, it does. Then we read that value from the bucket and then do from primitives on it. So we could just store whatever we want in the bucket as long as it can be a primitive data type. Does that include lists? Maybe. That'd be kind of handy. The key here is about if the property is updated. Sounds to me like what we probably want is to update our controller. Can we update our tile controller to be a restorable property? That would be handy. I mean, we know the value. That's all internal. There must be a way of doing that. Let's have a look. Restorable value, which is a restorable property that makes a wrapper value accessible to the owning state object via value getter and setter. A restorable property is just a change notifier anyway. So if I make this a restorable property of what? This is what data type? T. So that's the value. So a list of string. Quick form missing.
That T sure gets around.
Yeah.
T is everywhere.
In the UK especially.
Yeah. Hey, there's T in here too.
Well, this seems too good to be true, but I guess we can try it, right? So I feel like I should split this off differently, but I think let's just try it. So we've got our initial expander set here. Init with value. I mean, expander sections equals value. Surely, wow. Okay, we'll clear and add all. Create default value. Well, that's just going to be an empty list.
And yeah, normally I'm diet cola instead of tea, but I don't want to show off my 2-liter bottle over here.
From object. I don't see a reason why list of string wouldn't work.
Yeah.
What happens if we do this? Right, how is that a thing? How is this working? Let's have a look. Restorable property. See, I think that could just be directly work. So if I do expanded sections, and then from primitive is just like if data is list of string, why string, maybe list of dynamic, why is it a list? Then expanded sections, clear. Oh no, we want to return it. So we'll say return data dot cast. Well, it's a throw otherwise, isn't it? All right, I think that's it. I know it sounded so we made extend restorable property because it's a change type file. We can take advantage of that. Default value from to init with value. And then we just need to register it right over here. So it's register for restoration, tile controller. And then this is, I don't know, I guess.
This is similar to any hydration technique or even like JSON serialization that you have to figure out a way to map your complex data into something that can be saved and restored. If only we truly had object memory, we could just store things as objects.
All right, let's kill it and see what happens. Well, I'm hoping, Paco, is that a list is considered part of the primitives. So list map in num string, yeah. So I'm hoping that it's just going to magically work without me having to do a serializable form. Let's find out. So if I'm on the categories page and expand fashion, and then I swipe that away, it gets shut down, and we open it back up again. It did not restore fashion.
Oh.
But interesting enough,
Is the state of the expansion tile saved?
well, that's what this is doing, right? So we're going to
just the list of what's
we're storing the controllers.
Yeah. Okay.
State, which is so init with value from primitives. Let's try again. Expand phone tablets. Leave. Come back. Okay, size 1, phone tablet. It did actually restore it.
Oh.
So what's it doing with from primitives then? So, okay, so we've got initial value.
Maybe it didn't call set state or the mark needs rebuild stuff.
Well, that's what I look. No, you've just hit the init with value. It restores it, but guess what it doesn't do?
Yeah.
Notify. There you
go. Oh, yeah, that would do it.
Let's try this again. Start up fresh. The reason why we have to restart is because when the app gets shut down, it starts up again. It starts up with that initial Flutter build. So hot reloads won't get the code when it runs again won't have the hot reloaded changes. So
right.
To be clear. Right. I think we'll start calling it in a minute. All right, phone state, back it out, phone tablets, open it up. No.
Doesn't it? Well,
It's interesting. I thought we had it there. I'm wondering if
is there an observer though? Is there a subscriber that is willing to call Mark needs
no, but
build?
even if it isn't, when we start this up, the tile controller exists, right? Okay. Its initial expanded sections are blank, fine. And if we clear and add all, I can't see that being a problem. Let's put a breakpoint here and try again. Computing, swipe it, come back. List, size 0.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's interesting. Well, that would explain why it's blank. But let's open up 2. Fashion, electronics, go back. Blank. Okay. So 2 primitives. I wonder. No, because it's it. All right, let's do this. Let's put breakpoints here. It's obviously getting like a default value. Let's hit. Let's stop and start again fresh. All right, let's see. Okay, so I'm fully expecting that to happen, size 0 this time, because it's the first run. 2 primitives, 1 listener, restoration ID, sure. Expanded sections blank, correct. I wonder if it's because I'm not returning a new. Maybe I need to be returning back a new object. Let's have a look. We'll get back to it. So electronics. Look, expanded section, electronics. So it does convert it to primitives.
Okay.
That's good. Update property, and it's writing it to the bucket. That's interesting. Okay, so that wrote it to the bucket. So if I background the app and then open it back up again, it tries to read it from the bucket, but gets size 0.
Huh. What the heck?
Indeed. Especially when the restoration just a minute ago was like, yep, it's all good. Somewhere. List. Size 0. Where? I'm wondering. I wonder if we're getting a situation where the widgets. When we swipe the app away, I wonder if they're like changing their expanded state in some way. Let's keep on here. Let's just try again. Phones and tablets. Okay, toggle, correct. Notify listeners. Then we get 2 primitives. And our expanded list contains phone, tablet. Continue. So that would have been written. And then when we restore the app, from 0. just what? That is remarkable in its insanity. I can only think. I think I know what's going wrong. Oh, and that irks me. It irks me. Yes, I knew that. I knew there was going to be a problem. I wanted to avoid it. All right. So, okay. So let me explain what I think is going wrong. Sliver expansion tile controller, when it starts up with a value, initial value. And I've restored. Basically, what's happening here is it starts up with 0. So we're overwriting our bucket value with 0 before we restore. That's basically what's happening here. If I was to put in, I can show you how you can actually fix it here. It's not actually the great way of doing it, but it's a way of doing it. And that is we create our expansion sliver tile in an init state. This is what I was going to do earlier. And the list that we supply can come from the bucket. So we say bucket read tile. This is not what we want to do, but if it works, then it explains what the issue is that we were seeing. So okay, let's stop it and try again. Hopefully for final run. What is the data? A string? No, it's a list of string. It can be any primitive. The change from primitives to the underlying data store is managed by Flutter's restoration plugin. A plugin, package, whatever feature. Right, categories, computing, and get rid of these. I'm just going to get rid of all these breakpoints. Okay, computing is closed. Open, sorry. Close it down, open it up, and computing should come back. Damn. Fail. Well, I thought I was close, but I guess I'm not. So let's go try this again. Fashion's expanded. Back it off. Open it up. Expanded size 0. Why is that stuck loading? Depot. Patience. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's because something above this isn't restorable. I wonder if there's somewhere where there's that above this. No, it's a separate tree. Where's bucket? Bucket null. Okay, that's the problem. All right, so let's go back. It is, I think it's the same issue, but I was trying to access the bucket too soon. So let's go back to here. It's this restore state. Hang on. Let's go into the mixin. Mixin will tell us all. Mixin. Come on. Oh, where am I going? Here. There we go. Okay. Here it is. Do restoration. Do restore. So did change dependencies gets called. Those gets called once. And then they're taking that point to then make sure they've got a bucket. And then they restore from the bucket. And that's the problem. All right. So what we're going to do, we can do this. Right. Let's just make it work. I think I know exactly what this is. And it's exactly what I think it was. So I don't think we need to notify this point, but we'll let it. All right. So same problem. We just need to do it during restore state. I wasn't sure that restore state would actually do it the way we expected, but apparently it does. The question here is, will this work? I really still don't like it, but I think it's going to do the job. So let's hopefully one last time. Right. Okay. Started up with 0. Correct. Let's go into here. Let's expand baby products, home office, fashion. Swipe that away. I did not tell it to log or breakpoint, but that's okay. Open it back up. Okay, we read. And what happened here? Why did we crash? List size 0, map size 1, tile controller, empty list. I wonder if it's just it doesn't know how to handle a list then. List of object is not a subtype of list of string. Because I need to cast it. I know why that stupid thing. I think there's still another bug here, but this is because let's do this cast. Don't think this is going to do what I wanted to do, but it's a step in the right direction. So where are we? Restore ball. Oops. 2 primitives from. Oh, we're not running the server anymore, are we? Oh no, we are. Come on, and I can. Well, once we get this working, we'll push it and then call it a night, I think. Right. 2, 0. Right. Fashion. 1, fashion. Back it out. Go back in.
This is really spooky.
Cast list blank. That should have a value of 1.
Ugh.
This is just annoying me now. All right, we can go one level. We can go deeper. Should we go deeper? Let's go one level deeper. First, restore pending.
Get your file and issue page open right now.
It feels like this shouldn't be this difficult, right? Like
Yeah.
like there is another way of doing this, and this is what's annoying me right now. So look, let me. Okay, I'm probably misusing it, to be fair. So let's do this in a slightly different way. I'm trying to treat the controller and the state we're restoring the same. Controller is more of an active item. So what we could do is if I change this back to change notifier, right? And then did change dependencies. Inside here, we add a restorable value. This will also work. It's just like, and then this could be like expanded sections. Right. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. I feel like there was probably already restorable. What were we looking at earlier? Was there a restorable list? I don't think there was. Let's go look. Time of day, number, string, date time, blah, blah, blah. No. All right. So we'll do one. So then if I go into, let's take this. And after our controller, we'll add a sliver expansion tile restorable. Sure. Extends restorable value list string. So we've got a 2 from did update create default. What is the expectation I did update is the question. So so this needs to store a value, right? This needs to store a list of string value. No, see, I didn't think. No, this is just value. Yeah, it's we got built-in value. We don't really care. Need to do anything for did update. Okay, so that should be enough to have like this restorable thingamabob. So then if we pop that in here, let's see what happens. We always create a controller. We could do it late, actually. So no, we'll do it late. And we restore and then create our controller. This should be based on the value. Then if our tar controller changes, we want it to update the value of expanded sections to equal the tile controller expanded sections. Don't like that. Well, it should work. All right. Should we try it? It can only not work.
It can't not work any worse than it was already not
working. Yeah, exactly. Right. We can't break it any more than it's already broken.
We're not making the kind of progress where at least you're seeing a different error message, though.
Exactly, right.
That's always progress. Whenever I can get the error message to change, I know I've done something that is in the path.
It's a bit chilly. Right. Ooh. Okay, so we start up. Let's go for home
Fashion.
office.
Oh, home office.
Wipe it away.
I see
Open it up.
you've given up on fashion, right? Like that could be the problem.
All right.
I'm still wondering why you think that when you're doing that earlier, notify listeners would cause a rebuild. How is that going to do a Mark Needs build?
The thing is, I had this. It said when it was restoring earlier that it got the value back, and what I was thinking was its initial value staying up with the blank list, and when because it's registered with add listener, maybe with the bucket, maybe it's overwriting the original value that it's restoring with. But so far, the way I'm seeing this is it's coming back from the bucket without it. I think this just might purely be my supposition of having a list of string be restorable is not working. So we need to convert our list of string into something that's primitive that it can actually restore.
Like
right now,
like JSON serialize it or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take what we've done here. We can probably roll this back just to make it a bit simpler in a minute. But if I get the expanded restorable thing here, and when we do from primitives, we go data, we treat data as a list and do JSON.decode data as a string, and then as list, and then cast it. Right. And then down here on 2, JSON dot encode value. All right. And then let's hit stop. Make it go away. Try again.
I bet you're going to get the empty string back now.
Oh, something's not going to be right. Did update value. We'll see. Okay, so it's been restored. Expanded sections. Value is an immutable list. Okay. Let's go in here, electronics, swipe it away. That's interesting.
You didn't save it?
Yeah. I think I made a boo-boo. Right. I thought we had this working. Let's have a look. Electronics. Yeah. So this expanded sections contains no tile controller expanded sections. Let's have a look.
This has to be a solved problem. This has to be something about the way we're interacting with it.
Okay, new value. New value electronics does not equal this dot value, which is a blank string, correct? Sets new value. Calls did update value. I was not okay, we're misusing this then. No, hang a minute. Expanded sections. No, we register it. What the hell's going on here? Register. Add listener. Put a breakpoint here. Oh, that's weird. What? What is going wrong here? Okay, let's put a breakpoint in here then. And we'll start up fresh. Get to go read the docs. Right. JSON.encode. This is the interesting thing. It's getting to encode before from, which means you're getting to update property right. And we're getting to that from register, which means how did it not hit a breakpoint before that? Oh my, what's going wrong with my breakpoints? Are they not active? I think it's because I set the breakpoints when it's running last. Okay, this is probably not going to do well. Computing. Okay, this is interesting, right? So the idea behind this is it's now going to set the value. If I hit continue, that should have triggered the two primitives, right? If you follow this through, value does this. It's a change notifier, and the change notifier and expanded sections is registered in here at this point here. So this breakpoint should have been hit because the property was changed.
You would think.
If property is registered, so something is not.
Wait, that says if not property is registered.
Yeah, so if it's not registered the first time and it runs this function, it will register it. But the point here is it should be registered. And like, how am I getting two primitives being called? And if I follow the stack trace back, look, this gets from update property, which is coming from register for restoration, which is has serialized value true, property is enabled, bucket does not equal null, which means it got to this. See, again, it's disabled breakpoint. How are these breakpoints not triggering? Maybe if I trigger it in my own code here. And stop. Try this again. Oh, you know what? No, it wasn't. This wasn't a problem. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. Register for restoration. Step into. Right. Step over. Step over. Okay. Let's get rid of these because they're not bloody helpful. Right. Has serialized value. False. Initial value creates the default. So initial value is a blank string. Is registered. It's not registered, so it registers it. Let's put breakpoint in here on bucket. Continue. Okay, so then it encodes it into the storage. Fine. We expand computing. Okay, sets the value. Continue. Doesn't hit the other breakpoint.
Huh.
Let's try that again. Go into here. Phones. It's going to be something stupid. I know it is. Unmodifiable list. Wait. Wait.
What?
Wait.
I can't wait. Tell me.
I just got to check something, which is fucking stupid. But I'm going to check it. if this works, that.
Oh, you made an unmodifiable list.
No, but that's not the problem. The problem is not that it's unmodifiable. The problem is unmodifiable list is wrapping the original list as an iterable. You with me? So when I change the original values, it's changing in the other one. So when basically what I could just list off here would be the actual appropriate. But I just want to see if this solves it. Hang on. Basically, it meant that when it was comparing the values, they're always the same because it already edited it.
Right.
Here, value. Hang on. I didn't go into the breakpoint, but whatever. Let's just see. Okay. Step into. Has serialized value. True. And our initial serialized value is a blank. New.
That had promise.
I'm pretty sure. But the thing is, let's go back and expand the section. Right. Let's go into here. So expanded sections, growable list, phone tablet, value, cast. No, it's the same problem. Sorry. It's the same. Hang on. I know what this is. It's an identity problem. Hang on. It is the same problem. I need to make a new list each time to guarantee that it's identifying the change. I'm going to put this back to restorable. That's what I expect. Right. Let's try this again. That is super annoying if that is the. And people saying programming is easy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, programming's tough. We got to keep telling the kids this. Programming is tough. You don't want to enter the field.
More for us, yeah. More jobs for us.
Exactly. Then only the old fogies get to do programming.
Right. So let's try this again. Computing, expanded, step into. Step return. Step into. Come on. Here we go. Step over. Right. Different value. Old value immutable list, new value growable list, computing. Did update value.
Oh, was it using identity?
Oh,
identity?
Wait. Are you fucking kidding me?
I saw old value there. Is that not?
No. Well, what is this missing? What is this default value function missing of a notifier?
Notify listeners?
Yeah. So what's happening is we're updating this value and this and our implementation of look, subclasses should call notify listeners from this method. So the new value changes to what two primitives returns.
Oh man.
You know what? We dug down and we found it. So
sometimes you got to read the docs.
I knew I was looking at this blank function and it doesn't seem right. But I'm also like, that's the default behavior, but I guess this is so you don't have to update if the old value is different. Whatever.
That doesn't make any sense. No, right.
Whatever.
Wow.
Right, let's try this again. Well, this is why we're doing this, right? So everyone now can learn from this, right? I think if this works, we should get rid of that JSON encode and decode and see if that.
Oh yeah.
Because honestly, actually, this could go back to being part of the controller then, because we didn't need to. Let's just run it and see what happens. Right, computing, go away, come back, cross your fingers. Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Let's
remove JSON now.
Right. Yeah. Let's go one step further.
Yep.
We're going to take this bit by bit. Okay. We're going to say, go into our.
You should do a git snapshot here before you keep editing. Okay. No, you program in the wild. You know how to do undos. I'm not very good at doing undos.
I'll stage it. I'll stage it.
Yeah, you're not a commit stage.
Right. So data as list cast. Return back the value. Okay.
And how do you delete the restorable data? Because now you've changed the format of stuff you're storing. I'm worried that like now the next start of your app is going to try to read.
Yeah, well, it doesn't persist in that way, right? So this is only persisted when in memory. So it's when the operating system needs to save and store it. It's not persistent to disk.
Yeah, I always wondered that about like if I change shared preferences to a different format, how do I make sure that it's cleaned out? And
the answer to that is manage your versioning. We can talk about that another time. That's really around about let's see, home office. Bring it back. Home office is there.
Beautiful.
Phone and tablets, fashion, go away, come back. Okay. So, okay, let's now we're going to roll this back. This is all because we didn't call notify listeners, of course.
Yeah,
right.
Amazing.
So let's roll this back. Let's go into. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if it makes sense to leave it as it is or if to change it. Basically, the controller is really what you want is this to be a restorable list of string, right? What do they call restorable value? So restorable string list, right? Being generic. It just seems super annoying that you have to connect up one to the other. And we could supply. The other one is restorable string list could be supplied to the controller. It kind of seems pointless. And right, we have a working version. Let's keep going. Let's ping those in there. Right, now what we had before was a controller that was a restorable list of string. Right? So we'll put that back in there. Then this is going to require. Oh, look, guess what? We weren't implementing it. That's it. That literally has been it all along. So if I drag this back into here. Okay, so now we've got our same mechanism in place. Value and all the rest of it. You know, there could actually be expanded sections here. We could actually say right. So the value itself of the restorable property is the expanded sections. And we add or remove to that value, notifying the listeners, which will then encode it. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. I think. All right. And then this week is a little bit dicey. We want this to start up with a value. No, that should work. That should work, actually, saying that. Let's see what happens. I don't know. What can possibly go wrong? All right, I've simplified it. I believe it's going to fix things. It's going to work. Let's stop, kill it, and try again. And then we'll call it. Oh, what did I break? Yes. Pardon me. There's little warnings. Is registered as not true? Assertion. What went wrong? What went wrong? I think that's because I set the value in the constructor. Yeah, and then that tries to do. That's annoying. Yeah, all right, fine. I'm trying to be too smart. Don't. We'll have our expanded sections, and then it still works. Yep, that still works because it will set the value. No, did update value means we need to update the where am I? Expanded sections. That's what I need to do. So where we have notify listeners. Oh, I go down here. Did update. This is it. We want to say this clear. I'm feeling that I'm going back to how we had it before.
Yeah.
And it didn't work then. So let's just see what happens, I guess. Did we solve it in a different way? I don't know.
Maybe you've got one more notify listeners than you had before.
Maybe.
Maybe.
This definitely feels exactly like I had it before.
It looks familiar. It looks like you did that already before.
Yeah. Well, let's find out. All right, electronics and grocery. Flip it out. Flip it in.
Damn. Something in that transition breaks it.
Yeah, something does. All right, we're going to take it back then. Not spend any more time on it. So we can discard all those changes. And hit stop. Let's ensure we have our restorable string list. And it all works in our categories page. Yeah, we shouldn't need that list of. I better test it now. Yeah, I thought it did the same thing. Maybe we can take a look at this again. I don't particularly like the idea of the controller. I don't particularly like the idea of the controller being the restorable thing either. Like you can you should be creating the controller from the restorable state.
Right.
Right, and that's what we're doing here. It does make sense. It's just, I don't know. Right, computing. Let's do something else. Phones and tablets. Come back. Yeah.
Yep.
Minimize that. Let's try kettles and something else down here. Speakers, sure. Oh, I just thought something else. Like scroll position.
Because kettles and speakers are.
Yeah, no, it is. Annoyingly, the scroll position isn't kept though.
Yep.
And I think we're gonna try one small change, and that is, where's my list?
Scroll position.
Yeah, well, no, even better than that. Restorable ID category list. That should make it restorable. Obviously, I need to get rid of it. That should mean the scroll position is also maintained. Let's find out.
So all widgets have a restoration ID property?
Yep.
Cool.
But you need to put a scope ID at the top level for them to work.
Okay.
Right. So let's go down to the bottom. Other and kitchen. Yeah, scroll to that position. Go out. Come back in. Yay!
Yay! Yay! Ship it.
Right, that's it. That's enough. I've had it done. That's enough for today.
3-hour tour.
Wow, has it been that long?
3-hour tour.
I hope that everyone had a great time and everyone found this interesting. It was good revitalization for me on state restoration because I haven't done it for a long time. I even did talk on the topic. Don't think it's changed that much, but we got there in the end. So yeah, thank you. Right, so state restoration. Added state restoration to main tabs and category list page. Done.
We don't have to pay needle drop on the Gilligan's Island theme, do we?
The what now?
I didn't go long enough, I guess. I'll probably be okay.
Right. Oh, I'm very happy, Carol. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. You had a good time. Right. We'll call it here. And we'll see you. If you have any more questions, we'll get them answered on the Hub Day Q&A next week. Bye for now.
See you on Hub Day.